Chapter 57. During the next 2 months, our band performed several gigs. We were good and clubs were beginning to sign us up. Our luck and talent were almost too good to be true. Daddy came to the first few concerts to make sure I was all right, but one night he really made a scene. It was the night they were having a street party in Greenville. There were probably 1,000 people there, and we were one of the opening acts for the bigger known bands. We were very lucky to have landed that gig too. Rick had wanted to blow the crowd away since it was going to be a big event, and he wanted a way to do it. "I can play Freebird," I told him. "David can play Freebird," he insisted. "Not half as good as I can. Besides, you really need 2 guitars playing that song to fill in how Lynyrd Skynyrd plays it." It was reluctantly decided that I would play lead guitar and Kevin would play drums for that song. Daddy had no idea this was going to happen. Kevin and I traded places and the crowd looked at us expectantly. Since I knew that I was going to be lead guitar, I brought my favorite white Gibson. I have to admit that I love Freebird, and I love the reaction that people have when I play it. Ever since I played it at the beauty pageant when I was 9 years old, I've been addicted to it. I had to smirk at the crowd as I started the first notes of the song, and they cheered. Heck, I hadn't even gotten to the good part yet. I knew I had a lot more stage presence than David or Kevin, and I was just rocking that guitar. Rick has a nice voice, and he was doing well on vocals. The crowd went wild at the guitar solo, so I worked myself to the edge of the stage. I knew Rick wasn't happy about that because I was upstaging him, but hey, there's no singing during the solo, and I wanted the attention. And I could play nearly the entire song without looking at my hands. So I looked up, and as I made eye contact with some of the people in the crowd, I winked at 1 or 2 of them. I loved it they were taking my picture. The people nearest to the stage were nearly all my age, and they were jumping up and down, just digging my guitar. As I plucked the last notes of the song, the crowd roared. Even I was amazed at their reaction. They were loud. I bent down and walked along the edge of the stage, touching people's outstretched hands. Then I nearly fell off stage when my dad walked on stage with us and had the microphone from Rick. "That's my daughter who just played that kick-ass guitar solo. My daughter, people. Angel DeVito," he shouted into the mic. I'll never forget that moment. I straightened up and looked at him. Although he made sure I'd taken lessons from the greats and practiced my guitar, he'd never really acknowledged me or praised me about my playing. I think he thought it would only make me more conceited than I was, and he was probably right about that. Oh, every once in a while he told me I was pretty good, but it was always understated. Sometimes it irked me that he did that. He was holding his arms out to me then. Yeah, he'd embarrassed me, but I'd deal with it. I smiled at him and walked over to hug him. Rick was just staring at us, wondering how he lost control of the show. I took the microphone from my dad. "This is my dad, Daddy DeVito, and yeah, he just embarrassed the crap out of me," I told them. They laughed at that. "You can walk off stage now, Dad. This is my gig," I kidded him through the mic. The crowd laughed. He left and exited the stage. I thanked the crowd then for coming out to see us and for their rowdy appreciation of our music. Whistling and cheering sounded. I turned to the band and introduced the rest of them. Rick was still looking at me, and I knew he wanted the mic back. I probably was more comfortable on stage talking to the hundreds of people in the crowd than I was talking one-to-one to someone. I could have talked to them all night, and since I had the mic, I thought we might as well play another favorite song of mine. Yeah, the band and I hadn't discussed this, but they knew the song. We're going to get to some new stuff in a minute, but first I'd like to play another favorite of mine, Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top. I hope y'all like it. They cheered while Rick looked at me like I was crazy. He turned around and gave the band a frazzled look, but he agreed with me. He was happy to take back the mic. I played Sharp Dressed Man on my favorite white Gibson with the crowd jumping up and down. When the crowd roared after that song and I was at the edge of the stage touching people's hands, Rick said into the mic, "She's such a show-off." Then to me he said, Go back to playing drums, Angel." The crowd was yelling then that they wanted to hear guitar. I was laughing as I went back to the drums as Kevin walked to the front. The crowd was booing us before we even started the next song, so I was surprised when Rick said to the crowd, "Do you want the show off to play more guitar?" The crowd was all about that. We only had time for about 4 more songs at that point, and that's about all Kevin knew on the drums, too. So Rick asked Kevin which songs he knew on drums, and we played those songs as our last 4. As for me, I could have played just about every one of those songs we normally played on any instrument.